jumping into your first ranked games of the season, playing how you've normally played over the last few seasons or so. But suddenly, after the first 2 weeks of the new season, you have found yourself struggling immensely to gain consistent RP as a result of the new rank system. Fortunately for you guys, I do all the hard work, so you don't have to. To show you guys that it's possible to gain a lot of RP while solo queuing in this season, I solo queued the Apex Predator using Loba only. And now, as a part of my Bronze to Masters, the sequel series, I'm just about done with hitting Masters using LIFLINE only. And so now I know for certain exactly what it takes for you to excel in ranked this season. So listen up and take notes, everybody, because this is how I solo queued to Apex Predator in Season 20. So without further ado, let's get it. Bam, ba, bam, bam, bam. Bam, ba, bam, 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 ba, 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 bam, bam, ba, bam, bam.
All right, class is in session.
That was our very sexy substitute teacher. Now class is really in session. There will be several concepts that I'll go over with you guys as to how to play ranked in this system. And this is based off my experiences in hitting Apex Predator once a season and hitting Masters once a season with 2 different legends. And so before I get started with that, let's discuss quickly the basics of this system, because if you lack this knowledge, then you won't know how to efficiently gain RP this season. So let's start with the rank points that you'll get based on your placement and based on the kills that you have. This is, of course, excluding any entry costs that you may have. As you can see in the diagram right here, if you die with 14 squads or more left, then you will receive 0 RP points. That's based on your placement. The higher that you place in that game, the more points that you'll get. This makes sense, as this is how it's always been in every system that we've ever had. The value of points that you'll get based on your placement is a lot less than what we're used to, like significantly less. This was done to take away emphasis on placement to deter people from ratting for top placement. We also have a dynamic KP system that changes based on the number of kills that you get, but also changes the value of each individual KP based on the placement that you're in. For instance, if you're in 7th place, every kill that you have at that moment is worth 12 points. This is the same from 10th place to 6th place. From 11th place and onwards up until 20th place, every kill that you receive is only worth 10 points. And as I just mentioned, to keep the order going, from 10th place to 6th place, every kill that you get is worth 12 points. 5th place and 4th place, the kills are worth 16 points. 3rd place 18, 2nd place 22, and 1st place is 26. This shows a slight emphasis on getting kills in rank this season. To make things a little bit more clear, let's say, for example, you're in 5th place and you have 5 kills. Each one of those 5 kills, based on this diagram, is worth 16 points. In this event, you would receive 80 points for kills based on your 5th place placement. Reaching 5th place only gives you 45 points, but if you get 5 kills and or assists, you can receive 80 points based on the system. That's 35 points more than what you would receive based on placement alone. So by now you should know that kills are important this season. We'll later discuss on how you should go about getting kills. But in addition to everything that I just mentioned, it's also important to note that we have a kill cap of 6 KP this season. This means that the RP awarded for each kill, assist, or participation, which is dependent on your squad's final match placement right before you die, gives a certain base combat value, which is what we just discussed. And it remains at that value up until you get 6 kills and or assists. So 3 kills, 3 assists, 6 kills, 0 assists, so on and so forth. Once you pass that threshold of 6 kills and or assists, every kill you get after that decreases or diminishes in value by 50%. So you should be most focused on getting those 6 kills per game. Also, now that hidden matchmaking is gone, every kill and assist against players of a higher ranked tier grants an extra 5 RP each. So killing players that are higher ranked than you gives you more points, and that's something that we'll focus on later. There's also a bonus RP that you get. I don't really know exactly how that works, but pretty much you get points for being a demon. And lastly, there's also a bonus for placing top 5 multiple matches in a row, which is capped at 5 matches, and this will increase the bonus by 10 RP each time, for a grand total of 50 extra points if you get top 5 times in a row. So now that we got all the boring basic syllabus stuff out of the way, now we can start to discuss exactly how to navigate through a system like this. So let's quickly discuss the legend meta this season and the characters that you should be playing, more or less. In fact, I can't really know because I don't have that information since I haven't completed my Bronze and Masters with every legend challenge yet. But the meta that's currently being played right now, as you guys all may know, are Revenant, Horizon, Bangalore, and Conduit. And although Respawn has made many changes to the legends and their abilities, we still see the same 4 legends being played this season, at an alarming rate as well. So if you want my easiest, quickest answer, play those legends. They are extremely powerful and you can't go wrong with either one of them. But for people that don't like to play within the meta, stick around this channel and make sure you subscribe to me. I'm doing an experiment where I go Bronze and Masters with every legend to figure out what legends are good or bad this season. and I can't really discuss that until I have time played on those legends. So for right now and in this video, one of those 4 legends will do. And even after all that I just mentioned, if you still don't want to play them, at least know how to play against them. Familiarize yourself with those 4 legends. You're going to see them a lot this season, especially at the higher ranks. But of course, if you do want to know my favorite class of legends for this season and pretty much every season of ranked, it's going to be support. Being able to craft banners and getting your teammates back into the game can help reduce the number of points that you'll lose on average. So when picking a legend this season, keep these things in mind. Now let's quickly discuss the weapon meta. Currently, based on my experiences with solo queuing and playing this game this season, I've really alternated only 4 weapons. Previously, the pool of weapons that I selected from was about 8. That's been reduced to 4 after all the nerfs to all the weapons this season. So the 4 weapons that I've used a lot are the R301, Hemlock, Volt, and Prowler. I believe that these 4 weapons are the most versatile and also the strongest. These 4 will cover all areas: long, short, and medium. You have your medium to long range usage in your ARs and your close range uses with SMGs. This is going to be super specific to you guys, whatever you're good or most comfortable with, but you can never go wrong with those 4 weapons. Some weapons I avoid completely and entirely now, no matter what: the Nemesis and the R9. Again, feel free to use whatever weapons you want, but those 2 weapons will lose a majority of the time to those 4 weapons that I just previously mentioned. And those 4 weapons are what you'll see a lot in these higher rank lobbies. Nonetheless, use whatever's most comfortable for you. Those are just the weapons that I'm running this season. I'm also using the EVA 8 and Wingman every time I see it. Those guns are game changing. You cannot skip them. Get used to them if you aren't already. Now let's get into the nitty gritty. How should you navigate through all of this stuff that we just went over? These tips that I'll give you are primarily focused on solo queuing, but the same will still apply to 3 stacking, except when you're 3 stacked with a pre-made squad, you have a lot of leniency. That's because you're playing with 2 of your friends who you more or less will be communicating with. You'll have some sort of synergy and or cohesion with these teammates, and to put it simply, they'll listen to you. These are the advantages of 3 stacking. And because you have so many more advantages while 3 stacking, you can get away with a lot more. But at the root of it, the same will still apply to everybody. Let's discuss combat this season. As I talked about earlier, we have a 6 KP kill cap. This will give you 100% value for every kill that you get, which we now know is contingent on the placement that you get. The higher up in placement that you get, the more that your kills are worth. But anything over 6 kills or assists is reduced by 50%. So I need you guys to focus on getting that maximum 6 kills every game that you play. This is obviously impossible to do every single game, but that's what I want you to strive for and focus on. Obviously, if you can't get it, that's okay. And also, if you get way more than that, that's also okay. That only helps you. What I don't want you guys doing is only focusing on placement. Winning the game is important. Getting good placement in a game is also very important. But like we talked about earlier, the emphasis is on getting kills. And unlike other seasons, Season 20, you have to focus on getting those 6 kills at least, but also focus on getting great placement, at least top 5. And that's why it could be difficult. It's a very balanced system, with the system slightly leaning towards a more kill-oriented system. So simply ratting every game like you guys may have used to do in previous seasons will not work. But also, running around the map and killing everybody like we also used to do in previous season also won't work. So I have found the best way to gain RP this season is to fight a team off rip. Land at a POI that has one other team landing there. Fighting extremely early off rip will help reduce the chances of you getting third party since everybody is still looting. And it also puts the fight into the hands of the RNG gods, pretty much meaning that whoever gets the better loot that game, on average, should win that fight. So if you're solo queuing, or if you're 3 stacking and you guys aren't that solid, then taking this fight early off rip in hopes that you get better loot than the other team does could help increase your chances of winning despite any handicap that you may have. This makes those early game kills so crucial, because if you're able to do that consistently, you don't really have to worry about getting kills for the rest of the match up until the end game. And also what I found myself doing, especially in higher lobbies, is if the team that we're landing with, let's say I end up killing one of them, and it shows me in the kill feed that their rank is higher than mine, then I'm making sure that that team dies no matter what, because that's more kills for me. Every time you kill somebody that's a higher rank, you get more points. So let's say I'm in Diamond, and I kill somebody early off rip who's a Predator. I'm assuming that his other 2 teammates may be Predator or Master rank, which are both higher than my rank and gives me more points. So I may even chase them down and kill them no matter what, which I don't necessarily recommend. I'm just stressing the importance of finishing those fights if they're higher ranked than you. I may even rat those banners and stay put in hopes that their teammates try to come back if they ran away to collect banners. This becomes a little nuanced. At the end of the day, I want these kills no matter what. I'm just more incentivized to kill them based on this system if they're a higher rank than me. Hopefully that makes sense. And I'll say this now and later, but I never want you to throw your game just for kills. Remember, placement is just slightly less important than getting kills, but still extremely important. So don't throw your game just to try to kill them all. If they leave, most of the time, I'll let them leave. In a perfect scenario, you take that 3v3 off rip and you win. This is exactly how I want you to play in the beginning of the game, and this will set you up for success. Moving forward. By this time, you successfully killed all 3 of them, and you finish up looting the POI that you landed in. On average, about 5 squads would have died by now. This is within the first few minutes of the game. Now it's time for you to rotate to the next zone, assuming that the zone doesn't land on you. If it does, and you have a controller legend to tell you where the next ring was going to go, more or less, I'll stay put. But on average, you're going to have to rotate out of that POI, so now what do? You got those first 3 kills. I really don't want you guys to focus on getting too many kills mid-game. Because this system is kill incentivized, you're going to have a lot of bloodthirsty people playing this game looking for easy third parties. If you aren't good with handling third parties or finishing your fights quick, then it's best for you to avoid fights in the middle chunk of the game and focus on your rotation. But if you ever have an opportunistic third party at hand, you should capitalize on that, because kills matter. That's a whole different discussion. I'd rather you focus on your rotates, but if there's an opportunistic third party, then take it. I want you to focus more of your efforts on third partying mid-game as opposed to initiating your own fights, which makes you susceptible to being third partied. And now you're going to lose points because the entry cost of each rank is a lot higher than what they used to be. In silver, it's minus 20. In gold, it's minus 40. In platinum, it's minus 60. And in diamond, it's minus 80. Diamond is where it gets really rough because that's the highest entry cost we've ever had for diamond rank. So, as a side note, if you're in lower ranks and you have lower entry costs, I recommend that you try to take more fights and try to get more kills. Losing only minus 20 and minus 40 in both silver and gold respectively is not that much. So use that opportunity of lower entry costs to practice your fights. Practice here fighting teams more quickly and efficiently, which should better prepare you for the higher lobbies. But if you're in platinum or higher, I recommend the strategy that I'm giving you right now. So now we've talked about the legend meta, we've talked about the weapon meta, we've talked about the ideal situation for getting kills early in the game, we talked about focusing teams that are of higher rank than you to earn more points that way. We've talked about focusing your efforts mid-game to rotating, but also taking opportunistic third parties if you can. And we also talked about avoiding initiating fights in that middle chunk of the game. Now you're looking to make your way into round 3, which is where things can get difficult. In round 3, I want you to focus on maintaining or getting to the most advantageous position for you and your team. Within that round 3 circle, of course. Whether that be sitting in the middle of a building or an area of high ground within ring 3. And this is a good strategy because more often than not, if you're sitting somewhere located within the middle of ring 3, there are high chances of ring 4 and ring 5 closing in on that position, or at least relative to that position. So you won't have to move or fight much. And if you're more of an edge style team or player, then I also recommend an equally effective method, which is playing from the edge of the ring 3 or ring 4, killing a team there or holding out a team that's located outside of that position, and furthermore gatekeeping them to pick up some easier kills. And essentially this will clear your back and give you position within that edge of the ring 3, so nobody can flank you. You only have to worry about what's going on in front of you, and you should more or less have a free rotate into the next ring wherever it may be. That's personally the style that I play as, but this can be difficult if you're solo queuing. So play whatever works best for you and your teammates in that situation. Now we're at ring 4. At this point, you should have at least 3 kills or higher. And also at this point, you probably have about on average 5 squads alive. So your kills are good and your placement is really good now. Depending on your rank, this will put you at an average of about maybe 80 positive RP points. Not the greatest because you should still try to max out at 6 kills, but it's consistent, good chunk gains that are so good for your rank grind. Minimizing the amount of negatives that you get is all that you have to focus on. And to do that, all you have to do is listen to everything that I've said in this video. And if you've made it this far, you've done your job correctly. You can't win every game, and I also can't really discuss endgame situations in this video because they're so nuanced and they're so situational. That would have to be for a whole nother video. But if you could at least focus your efforts on getting around 3 KP on average, which is not asking a lot, focusing on your rotations for the rest of the game, which most teams in that game won't be doing, and aiming for around that top 5 placement on average, you'll do just fine this season. That's a perfectly balanced playstyle, which is exactly what the system warrants. If you try to play too hyper aggressive, the system will punish you. And if you try to play too hyper passive, the system will also punish you. So if you made it to ring 4 in these circumstances, do your best to try to get more kills and try to win the game however you deem necessary in that moment. If you could do this consistently, like I mentioned earlier, you get bonus points for top 5 streaks. Every time you hit a top 5 streak in a row, you'll get more points for that. So that's what I want you guys to aim for. Don't expect yourself to get 10 plus kills every game. Don't expect yourselves to win every game. And if you fall short of either of those, don't be so hard on yourself. You don't have to be great all the time. You just have to be consistently great. This is the exact method that I used to solo queue to Apex Predator and to also solo queue to Masters with a different legend in the first 2 weeks of the season. I hope you guys learned something new. As always, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out. And I wish you guys the best of luck on your rank grind this season. Don't forget, your rank will reset now a tier and a half at the split. So you'll only have a couple more weeks until your rank resets. So get to grinding, guys. Best of luck, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam.